Hey, Frank Rumbauskas here, back at you again. After a crazy day, I finally made it here to the office. What happened was I woke up today, go out to my car, have a half flat tire. Car has run flat tires, so it doesn't go completely flat, but I found a big ass screw in the tire that let all the air out. And so here's the deal. I bought my new car a few months ago, and the new thing with high-end performance cars is that they don't have spare tires anymore. They just come with run flat tires. And so for $160,000, I didn't get a spare. The car's supposed to have an air pump and a can of tire sealant, and that stuff wasn't even in there either. The dealer forgot to put them in, or somebody at the factory didn't put that stuff in the trunk where it belongs. And so, long story short, I ended up working from home half the day. My wife, when she got back, done what she was doing, some school meetings, she had to go get me a can of Fix-A-Flat, and I finally got back on the road, and I'll have my new tire will come in tomorrow, and then I'll be back to normal. But in any case, I also have to say I love shooting these videos here in my podcast recording booth. I mean, I don't have to put on the little microphone. My video guy doesn't have much editing to do. It's just super easy. I just sit my butt here on the table and chat with y'all. But in any case, I want to talk about the next step. This is video 3 in my free video series on lead generation and a sales appointment system. You have to have a platform. So most people think sales lead generation prospecting is either about cold calling or networking, getting referrals. I mean, there are 1,001 ways you could do it. You can cold email, you can cold contact people on LinkedIn, or warm contact if you've done your research. But before you can do that, before you can build a platform to launch off of, and you've got to have a platform, you've got to define who you are, what you offer, and you've got to build out that platform on a website, on a blog, LinkedIn profile and LinkedIn company page, Facebook profile and Facebook business page, relevant content that you're putting out on Twitter, and so on. And then you bounce from that and then use that to attract your ideal customer. But before you can even build a platform, you've got to know who your ideal customer is. So keep in mind what I talked about previously, all the stuff about increase your activity and do more and more and more is all nonsense. It's a sales training industry scam where authors say that just so they can get hired to do sales training for big companies who want their reps out making cold calls. I obviously don't do that. I don't work with those companies. I'm here to tell you the truth, and the truth is that cold calling is dead, and you've got to have a system in place to generate leads. So before you can build a platform, you've got to know who your ideal customer is, and we call that here at Never Cold Call Again, call that a customer avatar. So you've got to define your ideal customer avatar. So who is that person? Now, in my world, in the world of marketing, I have to know that so I could buy direct mailing lists. I can't send out a direct mail drop of old school sales letter or a postcard or whatever the case might be without defining my prospects. What magazines do they get? Have they bought sales training products in the last 6 months? What's their position? What's their title? Age, gender, all these things factor into understanding who buys from me. And there are even companies out there where you can take a customer list and send it to them, and they'll crunch the data and actually hand you back a profile, but you don't have to spend money doing that. There's a very simple solution to get around to doing your customer avatar. So bear with me, since I'm talking to you straight here without a teleprompter. I've got some notes. Your prospect profile, it's not everybody. So one of the problems with mass prospecting, cold calling, mass cold emailing to a list, if the list is not narrowed down and pre-qualified, is that you're just wasting time. Like I talked about, if I went out in a previous video, if I went cold calling to sell my sales training workshops, 9 out of 10 businesses would not be interested because they want their reps cold calling. They don't want the Never Cold Call Again guy. And so I've got to do the research before I use direct mail or send my sales guy out. I just hired a fantastic new sales guy to go out and sell this. Got to know who that is. So your ideal prospect. Obviously, what's your target industry? If you're in a vertical market, that's great. If you're a pharmaceutical rep, if you sell software to accounting firms, whatever the case might be. If you sell generally to business, like I did when I sold phone systems, I actually went down and picked vertical markets. So I picked specific industries. One was military. I sold many phone systems to the Air Force, and I lived in Las Vegas because of Nellis Air Force Base there. When the HIPAA law came into effect in the 90s, I targeted medical and dental for that reason and showed them how they could become HIPAA compliant. Obviously, this is when the internet was in its infancy, and people didn't know what to do. Doctors had no clue. What geographical area are you targeting? Do you have a territory? What company size is right for you? This is another big one. It's generally easier to sell to a smaller size company because you can get to the decision maker, the owner, much more easily. But the size of the sale, especially for something, again, going back to the phone system example, is going to be a lot smaller than selling to a big corporation, or what I like to call big dumb companies, because you look at how a lot of them are run and it doesn't make any sense. I always think back to the greed is good speech in the movie Wall Street, where Gordon Gekko, played by Michael Douglas, talks about how the company lost $20 million last year or whatever, and he figures out half of it was wasted on all the paperwork going back and forth between all these vice presidents making $250,000 a year. And that's typically what a big corporation is like. So you got to be prepared to deal with that and insist on working with a decision maker, not somebody who collects proposals and bids and then hands it off to someone who just picks the cheapest one. You ideally want to be the most expensive solution, because that's usually the best, and then you'll make the most money and you'll have a happy customer. I've learned many times the hard way that buying cheap is always more expensive, because eventually you end up buying the best product anyway. So you want to be in a position to attract people who are going to do that. And that comes down to financial qualifications. If you're in B2B sales, you want companies that are doing well, not companies that are in the red. You want companies that are in the black. If you're in business to consumer sales, if you sell life insurance or real estate or custom suits or whatever the case might be, you want people who have money to spend. Obviously, the higher the income level, the bigger house they're going to buy, the more life insurance they're going to need, the more money they have to spend on custom clothes, going back to that example. So you're going to want to target wealthy individuals, and that, as far as those demographics go. And then you could drill down, positions. What I'm going through now, if you look at LinkedIn, for example, LinkedIn search, these are all of the kind of standard search options that are available. But then you could drill down to a lot more personal things. And before I do that, let me tell you a story. Jeffrey Gitomer a while back was teaching how to use social media on a live webinar or a live workshop, I forget what it was. And so he looked for a challenge, and somebody said doctors are the hardest people to reach. It's so hard to reach doctors, and all the old usual excuses came out why sales reps can't get a hold of doctors. So Jeffrey said, watch this. So he randomly picked out a doctor out of the yellow pages or something, studied the guy's Facebook profiles and account, studied his LinkedIn account, went through his Twitter, looked at his Instagram, found out what the guy likes, looked at his Yelp reviews, and found out what sports teams he likes, what kind of food he likes, where his kids go to school, and all this. Was able to actually get the guy on the phone live in the workshop and prove to people that you can glean information from people. There's so much info available out there about anyone on social media, on the internet, that you can use that to find common ground, find talking points, find something that will interest them personally. So not call and say, we think we can save you money or we can make your business more efficient. When is a good time to meet? Talk about something that interests them. You get people to like you by talking about what interests them, not what interests you, and not your business pitch or your elevator pitch or whatever you call it. So you want to know what their goals and values are, personal goals and values. Obviously, as an entrepreneur, my goals and values are to grow my business, to make more money, to provide jobs to more people, and to provide services and products that help business owners and salespeople to make more money for themselves, just like my upcoming sales appointment system is going to do. You think about where they get their information. What kind of books do they read? Clearly, somebody like me has read, probably every entrepreneur has read Think and Grow Rich. People who are real estate investors, they probably read the Rich Dad, Poor Dad books. And some of the other real estate guys out there. Someone who is in the personal training or nutrition business, they probably read magazines like Men's Health or Women's Health and things like that. So you could really narrow it down. I just picked up my mail today, and there was Entrepreneur Magazine, Inc. Magazine, Fast Company, all these things that I browsed through them. I don't have time to read them cover to cover, but I skimmed them for articles that interest me, and then if I see an article that interests one of my coaching clients or consulting clients, I'll clip it out and mail it to them. In the meantime, I also scan it and email it, and it lets them know that I care about them, and it keeps me forefront in their minds. That's a very good idea for you to do, is figure out which magazines, which publications, trade journals your ideal customer reads, and read them every month, clip stories, scan and copy those stories and send them out with a little post to say, hey, I saw this and thought it might interest you or help you out. You want to know what their pain points or their problems are. In sales, when you're selling something to either solve a problem, fix a pain point, or go ahead and fulfill a desire or a want. My $160,000 car fulfills my desires for high-end luxury performance cars. The camera that I'm looking at talking to you right now, again, it's a very expensive camera, a professional one, but it fulfills the need of producing high quality HD videos. I'm not going to talk to you and do videos on my iPhone that look blurry if I were to sit down on my computer and go full screen on my crazy 34-inch monitor I've got. So do this. After watching this video, I want you to go through and create a sample prospect profile. So you can look at, again, go through, just go to LinkedIn, click on advanced search, and go through all those boxes, and you could write down on a sheet of paper or jot down in a text file. Just talk about, define every one of those for your ideal customer profile, or as I call it in this world, the customer avatar. So once you've done that, go through the more personal things I talked about. What are their goals? What are their values? What books do they read? What magazines do they read? What movies do they watch? Anybody who's in finance has watched movies like Wall Street and Boiler Room and The Wolf of Wall Street. And so those are some things you can use to narrow down. Their pain points, their problems. Do they have kids? What kind of pets do they have? So you create this customer avatar, and once you've got that, we can jump into what I'm going to talk about in the next video, which is creating your platform for lead generation and sales appointment generation that will attract your ideal prospects, your ideal customers, your ideal customer avatar to you. And they're going to be people who are pre-qualified to buy, piece of cake to get a meeting with, and piece of cake to close the sale. So with that, I'll wrap it up, and I'll see you in the next video tomorrow.